Okay, so what I thought we'd do today is spend the first half of the class talking about binationalism, and I'm presuming you will in agreement on that. The essay that I hope you received by Amnon Raz-Kropotkin, Binationalism and Jewish Identity, on the Atlantic question of Palestine. And then in the second half, I thought we would just move, if we can, I don't know if we can, we'll see whether transitions are possible, to thinking a little bit about transgender psychoanalysis and performance. And it may seem odd to make that transition, and it may even seem odd that I work on both topics. And I was trying to think about why I do, or what explanation I could give for why I do. And my first thought was that this question about modes of address has been, I think, with me since probably, I want to say since Gender Trouble, but maybe even before then, maybe even my earliest work on Hegel. And by that I mean the question of how we are recognized, through what terms, how we are called, what our response is to the names or the descriptions by which we are called, hailed, interpolated. My good friend Denise Riley wrote that wonderful book called Am I That Name? Which is actually a citation from Sojourner Truth. Sojourner Truth was wondering if she's a woman. Black women are included in the category of women. Franz Fanon certainly asked the question, am I a man? Is a black man a man? And I think that I suppose it's true, and maybe it's even slightly adolescent, that I've been really concerned with name calling for a good part of my life. And sometimes we ask to be called by a certain name, or call me this, call me that. I never know what I should be called personally, which is why people go from Professor Butler to Judith to Judy to JB, which JB I figure is the most desperate effort to stabilize the issue. But some of my former students just write JB. My son actually calls me JB. And I think it's just a way of avoiding the whole problem because I can't take a stand, interestingly enough, on any of it. I just figure whatever you call me is fine, which is probably lame. There are probably certain things you could call me that I get pretty upset about, and so it was with some difficulty over the last, we're going to call it 30 years of my adult life, to find myself in some ways on the basis of a certain kind of Jewish formation. That is to say, on the basis of having been educated, in part religiously. I mean, I'll just confess. In part through the synagogue, in part through, intensive engagement in Jewish culture and history. It was on the basis of the values that I derived from that very education that I found myself critical of Israel. But to be vocally critical of Israel got me and others surely in some trouble because there were a couple of names that were called, one of which was self-hating Jew. I'm apparently on a list, a lot of people are on a list. Another one is anti-Semitic. And I've seen, I think, many people, Jewish and non-Jewish, very frightened of even asking rudimentary historical questions. So what happened in 48, or what was that again? Is there a constitution, and who's a citizen, and how does it work? And I mean, I think that the fear over this particular topic is so great that it actually chills intellectual inquiry. Now, I think we could have intellectual inquiry into this topic and come up with some very different political views. Right? You can have open intellectual inquiry on this topic and be a very strong Zionist. You can have open intellectual inquiry on this topic and be an anti-Zionist or post-Zionist or a Zionist from the 1940s, that version, or whatever. Or you could be neutral, you could be skeptical, you could be agnostic. You could not know whether you are or not, precisely because even defining the term is so overcharged sometimes that it becomes very difficult. So, of course, it's all made worse by the fact that some criticism of Israel is anti-Semitic. And because it is, it becomes very hard to be vocal and to be afraid of aligning with those who are, in fact, being equally vocal, but maybe for the wrong reasons or with the wrong effect. So then there are new reasons for political paralysis, by which I mean both a failure to ask certain questions and maybe even a failure to pose certain kinds of questions or introduce certain kinds of topics in public. I think a fair amount of my work has been about both explicit and implicit censorship. So the work I've been doing on this topic certainly involves implicit censorship, a topic that I addressed, I think, in Saas-Fee's speech. But let me say this, I mean, and Hannah Arendt, I mean, maybe one of the reasons I've been engaged is that she sure was called a lot of names after writing that Eichmann book, and she sure was called a lot of names after taking a very strong view on 1948, which is the founding of Israel on the basis of Jewish sovereignty, and it is also the Nakba, or the catastrophe for the Palestinian people. More than 700,000 of whom were displaced from their lands. Now, when you say displaced, then there's already a big historical debate, but that's okay. That's okay. We don't have to decide it here. I don't think we can decide it here. So today, I mean, I think Amnon Raz Krakowski follows Arendt in this extremely dispassionate way, and indeed you can see why one would have to become exceedingly dispassionate in order to discuss this particular topic. He gives a report, he assesses positions, he takes a normative view on what he thinks is important. He's an Israeli. He teaches at Ben Gurion. There are other Israelis like him. It's a very possible intellectual and political position to take as an Israeli. I think that he does a pretty good job in giving us a kind of historical context, but also some sense of what the continuing relevance of this issue is. So, in a way, I want to be able to open up a set of issues, which doesn't mean to agree with me or that we will agree with each other. I'm sure we won't and don't, and that's okay. And then I guess even in the discussion of transgender that I'm going to propose later, I think there are questions of fractious community. There are questions of whether cohabitation is possible. There are questions of agonistic neighborliness. I think that structure both issues, not in the exact same way, but I think in some way. I mean, I'll speak openly for a moment, just because I think it's important. My sense of